Hey guys, back once again with another episode of What's in the Box. And today I'm taking a look at another Tamiya kit, 1/35th scale this time, and this is the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 184 Schwerer Jagdpanzer Elefant, or Heavy Tank Destroyer Elephant, or, you know, of course, Elephant in English just with a PH. Interesting vehicle, not that new a kit. It dates, well, it's not that old, it dates from 2012. I figured this was relevant with all the with Coen's Kursk build coming up to do a review of this kit. Take a look at it. So this is a new mold Tamiya kit, relatively new, I will say. 2012. I mean, 2 years old is pretty new, I would think, in my boat. So typical Tamiya kit, relatively simple in construction, but it's going to build into a nicely detailed kit. And really kind of a neat vehicle. The history of this vehicle is the Tiger Porsche chassis. So it had a kind of unique suspension. I'm not sure about the quantity these were built. They obviously weren't put into huge scale numbers. There are still a few surviving examples. There's a completely fully restored one of these now at the U.S. Army Ordnance Museum, which has been moved to Fort Lee, Virginia. I would love to go see it. But it had the awesome and awe-inspiring, depending on which side you're on, 8.8 centimeter PAK 43 or STUK 43 Sturmkanone. PAK stands for Panzerabwehrkanone, or literally anti-tank gun in English. This is the 71 caliber high velocity version of the 88, and it was deadly. All the 88s had a reputation. This was essentially the same gun that was installed in the Tiger II, and it would fire a 21-pound solid shot, armor-piercing, ballistic-capped, armor-piercing shell at about 3,500 feet per second, 3,250, 3,500, and extremely flat trajectory, and penetrate the frontal armor on any Allied tank up to 2,000 meters, except for maybe some of the heaviest Russian tanks, JS-2 maybe, toward the end of the war. But this vehicle went into service kind of in 1943, although in 43 it was the Ferdinand. The Elefants I knew saw service in Italy to some degree. But it had its issues. It was heavy, slow, was underpowered. It had mechanical problems like many of the German tanks. And never could really build enough of them to matter, and it was lacking in crew protection. One of the differences between the Ferdinand and the Elefant, the Ferdinand, by the way, was the predecessor to this vehicle. They were nearly identical, except the Ferdinand, they learned their lessons at Kursk, because the Ferdinand had no crew or anti-infantry weapon on it at all, and so the Elefant, they installed a bow NG-34 to protect against infantry attacks. So that's enough background information. Let's get inside the box and take a look at what we have. So we have the, as expected, tan Tamiya polystyrene sprues. And set these aside. There goes a bottle of Viejo airbrush cleaner. Set that aside here. So here are our sprues. And what else do we have here? We have the instruction sheet, track links. All right. So, decal sheet, instructions. Now, as far as the printed material that comes with the kit, I would like to say Hamilcar would really like this. It's a really nice glossy printed information booklet on the history of the Elefant. And look at this absolutely beautiful fold out. It's a quad fold painting and marking guide of this vehicle, calling out Tamiya sprays. So this would be their rattle can lacquers, which, by the way, give really good finishes. You just, of course, do not get the control that you would with an airbrush. And this is in a mid to late war tritonal scheme. Beautifully printed. I really appreciate Tamiya doing that. I don't see any of the history. This appears to be completely in Japanese. No, my mistake. Here it is in English. And also in German. So, yeah, nice little history of the vehicle with the specifications. Weighed 65 tons. It doesn't specify if that was metric tons. I would assume it is. Hull armor. Had a lot of armor. The superstructure frontal armor was 200 millimeters. Wow, that's almost, well, it is a little over 10 inches. It was a lot of armor. So, a really nice little historical guide with a painting and marking guide. Here we have the instruction sheet, and unlike most Tamiya instructions, stapled in booklet form, which I much prefer. Neat little black and white photograph of the completed kit, and the tritonal scheme looks like it comes with a couple of crew figures. So, once again, paint callouts, complete Tamiya acrylics or Tamiya sprays, and of course your recommended tools, and then beginning construction of the hull with side plates, superstructure top. This is going to be a very simple build. There are only 17 steps, and each step just has a few items to execute per step. And it looks like we're using link and length tracks. Love them or hate them. I think I actually prefer the individual links. The link and link tracks don't give you much freedom. There's not much wiggle room, so to speak. They have to be almost perfect. I may see if I might even actually consider getting some Indy tracks for this vehicle. Well, who knows? We'll see. Two-piece gun barrel. Not excited about that. Although I think I've already addressed that. And oh, so look at this. Here's some additional background information on the vehicle and some really nice black and white photographs. So in the end of step 17, it is, you know, talk about people, you know, Tamiya, love them or hate them. I really like Tamiya because they are simplistic. To me, I'm a lot like Carlos and some of the other builders. To me, the build is the means to an end. I would rather paint. So a huge parts count kit is not something I necessarily look for, but I understand that's just me. I like a simpler kit. So the let's take a look at the sprues itself. I do want to mention briefly the cost of the kit. Once again, if you buy this at your local retail hobby store, you will pay a premium, a fortune for this kit, $60 to $70 US, and that is a lot. I bought this kit several months ago from Tokyo Hobby off of eBay. They're a very reputable, very reliable, and good, I might add, seller of hobby items. They kind of specialize in Tamiya and Hasegawa, which of course is a Japanese brand, so that makes sense. And I think I paid about $34 for this kit and about another $12 to ship it, so I paid about $46, making this what the Dragon one would cost. Is the Dragon one more detailed? Yes, it is. The instructions are nowhere near as good. I don't know. That's not necessarily a deal breaker. I have the Dragon one as well in the stash. I think I do. Yeah, I do. But I like the Tamiya kits. I've always liked them. That's what I loved as a kid, and I guess old habits die hard. So let's take a look at the plastic. I've rambled on long enough. Here we have the link and link tracks, and I'm gonna zoom in for you. These are really nicely detailed. The cleats look really good, and the underside surface detail on these links looks really spectacular. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see that a little better. Look at that. Some of the best detailed link and link tracks I've seen. I hope you guys agree. So that's the sprue that contains all of the tracks. And the next little bag is pretty simple. Actually, let me back up for you a little bit. This would be the superstructure. And looking at this, there is really nicely rolled steel texture on this hull. Of course, you would expect that from a 2-year-old Tamiya molding. Really nicely done, Tamiya. Kudos to you. If you can see that rolled texture or not. Yeah, there maybe. Here you go. Rolled steel texture. So, no Mr. Surfacer here. Well, let's take a look at the next sprue. Let's see. Fenders. Some really good looking anti-skid plate. Here, you guys can see that. It's top of the hull, some spare track links, some more fender parts, a few Pioneer tools. There's the MG34 barrel, And the front, part of the whole front hull plate, this was got to be where the drivers, I'm assuming the driver, the machine gun, maybe the radio operator's bow machine gun is. This real big bolt detail, that's just going to soak up a wash beautifully. So is this anti-skid texture on that, if you guys can see those, okay. That's going to look nice with a wash. And there's that sprue. Bottom hole tub, molded in one piece. No motorization holes, please notice that, because they quit doing that in the late 80s. Yeah, it's a really nice looking tub. They put all this beautiful detail on the bottom of the hull, and no one's ever going to see it. I don't know why they do that. I guess they, just to kind of follow through and execute, I guess. But beautifully rendered hull. Next sprue, what we have is, this is all pieces of the gun. It's a two-piece barrel, unfortunately, but it has the elevation mechanism, the mantlet. Once again, all nicely done and beautiful Tamiya styrene. The muzzle brake is in two pieces as well. Man, that's going to be a lot of seam. So, next sprue. Running gear. Drive sprockets, road wheels. Of course, the Tiger Porsche chassis had steel road wheels, so there's no rubber tires to worry about. And beautiful detail, rivet detail and bolt detail, not only on the drive sprocket, but also on the road wheels. And I'm going to let you guys take a look at that. Zoom in. Check out the bolt and rivet detail on those. Really, really spectacular. Some of the other parts there on that sprue look really nice. I certainly build up to a nice looking kit. Next sprue is superstructure halves, or the hull halves, and the two figures. And the figures actually look pretty good. More Pioneer tools. We have the jack. And of course the horrible piece of string for a cable. I'll be using something else for the tow cable. And some really pretty decent looking parts. Looks like there's actually 3 crew figures. And you guys can see those. You can see the detail there. There's the heads, there's torso, additional torsos. Of course there you can see the cable. Really pretty decent detail. Of course they were relatively new figures. Look at the periscopes here for driver. No hollowed out, you're going to have to paint those over. Maybe use one of Norm's techniques. Of course I don't guess you'd use that on a World War II vehicle with modern optics, but I'd be able to come up with something that would look nice. So once again, nicely detailed. So let me set the sprues aside. So we looked at the instruction sheet, the information guide. There is, of course, let me back out, the typical legal paperwork, the don't eat your model, don't make love to your model, don't liquefy and shoot up your model intravenously. All of that, of course, contained in that one little document, and then 6 languages. The Decals sheet, very, very basic. I'm not even going to remove it. Couple of Balkenkreuzes, couple of unit emblems, and, of course, vehicle numbers. Now, Tamiya makes another accessory for this kit. This would be this vehicle would appropriately have zimmerit. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but it's a detail up parts series. They started doing this a couple, 3 years ago. So this is basically a zimmerit self-adhesive kind of decal sheet. My understanding is these are made of vinyl, and they look pretty nice. To scale, there's even some damaged zimmerit on this pattern. I'm pretty happy with it. They make this for 3 or 4 of their newer, quote-unquote, newer armor kits. And I think I paid, I don't know, $9 or $10 from this. I also bought it from Tokyo Hobby at the same time that I ordered the kit. And you'll notice there's a separate instruction sheet for the installation of that on the back side of that. Now, I realize that I've bought a bunch of accessories for the kit. You guys have heard me talk ad nauseum about accessories. I am going to share this. I did buy this beautiful Aber turned barrel for this kit. with a brass muzzle brake because I can't stand two-piece barrels. And you know, this gun particularly has an extremely long barrel and a lot of seam line that I have to remove. And yeah, what the hell? Why not? So, and I realized that just knocked the price up even more. But you know, hey, I've got both the Dragon and the Tamiya version, so I don't mind. I'll build them both at some point. But look at this. And I realize this is not part of the Tamiya kit, but if you guys have never seen some of these auber barrels, look at the threaded muzzle. Let me zoom in on the end of the barrel, if you guys can see that. Here. It's threaded. Ready to take on the muzzle brake. It's going to be a beautiful looking barrel. You can see the detail on the included photo etch parts with this little barrel kit. This was, I don't know, I think 12 bucks. So, once again, guys, thanks for tuning in for another episode of What's in the Box. And I appreciate everybody watching. Everyone have a good day, I hope. Take care. Bye-bye.